All right, welcome back to the Run.down postgame show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, the Strickland Twitter, and if you're listening to this the day after, the Strickland Podcast Network. I am Sam. I am joined by Matt/Marty. How you doing?
What's Sam? Good. How could you not be good? What a night! What a fun game.
Yeah. Knicks win. 121 versus the 121 to 106 versus the Orlando Magic. Winning Group A in the NBA Emirates Cup. The score doesn't tell the full story of what occurred tonight. What we witnessed was a massacre on multiple levels to the Orlando Magic, a team that's actually been like throttling through the NBA recently. They were on a 6-game win streak. They won 12 out of their last 13, so they've absolutely been killing it since Franz went on this like tear. The Knicks were able to handle them with ease, which was something that I was skeptical about. And we'll get into all that, of course. But before we get started, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest section of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, as I said in the intro right there, I was kind of skeptical about this game, and I spoke about it on the last post game as well, how the Magic have been such a really good team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I thought Mosley would have been a little bit more prepared to like throw some more switching at the Knicks and get them mucked up as we've seen other teams do, but that just wasn't the case tonight, and the Knicks were able to get whatever they wanted, especially in the paint. The game started off a little bit slow for the Knicks, I would say. They were down by 8 early on. KCP looked like he was gonna have one of those classic like Nick killer.
That was those 2 threes. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. We're gonna do this again. Like it's like Dinwiddie all over again from the Dallas game. Sam, we're getting yelled at by Zach. We have to change the layout.
Oh, sorry, Zach.
There we go. All right, this is the one he wants.
Yes.
Dinwiddie. I didn't want to see it Dinwiddie all over again, especially from KCP. Like, fuck that guy. I don't want that. And then they just missed the rest of their threes for the rest of the game. I mean, they finished. So they started 3 for 3, right, and finished 9 for 39. So 6 for 36 from there is a 17%, and they hit 2 or 3 bullshit ones after the game was out of reach. So
yeah,
like it was bad. Good for the Knicks, bad for the Magic.
Yeah. This game had like that feeling of, oh man, the Knicks coming out slow. What's gonna happen? And then halfway through the second quarter, or even before halfway through the mark of the first quarter, the Knicks just kind of like put their foot on the gas and never really let up.
Yeah.
And shout out to Cat. He kind of got us started with some drives to the paint. And then once Deuce and Campaign, once they came in, they kind of just shifted the energy of the team totally, and the game completely went out of reach from there. Those two have just been absolutely incredible to start the year. Again, putting up another good performance. They were able to give Jalen Brunson a really good stretch of rest. And at the end of the second quarter, it was like, all right, Jalen Brunson's like 3 for 9, and the Knicks are up by like 1,000,000 points. And like, that's something that you couldn't have said in the last like 2 years that he's been here. So,
it's a theme this year, right? Those like Brunson's kind of mass shooting performances, but obviously he's, passing and like the other guys are scoring around him and he just doesn't need to. I kind of thought the only time he really carried the offense was when they went down 14-6, which was like the low water mark. He scored a few in a row to get them back into the game there, right? And then after that, like they just blitzed them from there. So they finished the first quarter 36-27 and they were down 14-6. So that's 30-13 from there in the first quarter and that was like 4 minutes into the game. It was just like, it was over after that. But what I really thought put it away was that in the second quarter, Tibbs went to that Deuce, Payne, Hart, OG, Towns lineup. And they had no answer for that.
That was like true 5-out
right
lineup. And once the Knicks go true 5-out, it's like really hard to stop anyone once they get going, especially like if a Cat gets going or like when Deuce and Campaign are doing their thing where they're like doing things defensively and getting us some easy points in transition, stuff like that. So Yeah, I mean, it's really good to see when this team is like clicking on all cylinders, able to just blitz a good team like the Magic, and like not even just a good team, but like the Magic have been playing like a great team over the last like 13 or so games. So like to be able to just put away a team like that so early in this game was really encouraging to see. And you're hoping that this starts like a trend of games. And I mean, when you look at the Knicks schedule, you know,
Nothing. Yeah.
they can easily put together a January Knicks stretch this
Yeah.
month as well.
I saw you tweet about it, and I said in the game thread, this is the first game that reminded me of like the January Knicks. They were just bludgeoning the shit out of them. I mean, you know, if you obviously the score, like you said, the final score doesn't really reflect what this game was. I mean, they were up by Tibbs took the starters out when they were up by 30 still, and the Magic then just scored a ton of points against the Knicks, like backups because they had to make sure they didn't lose the game by 37. But this was not even like I know Paolo was out, but they've been winning without him, so you can't even say like the Knicks took advantage of a weak team like that. This was the team they've been playing with, the team they've been winning with, and the Knicks just like ran them off the floor. It was probably about as impressive as the Nuggets win, I think. Like, especially because the defense was so good. Like that was obviously the offense was great, but the defense tonight was unbelievable. I mean, I feel good. I don't know how you were feeling about Mikal, but like his offense was mad tonight, but his defense of intensity was still there, which was like, more important to me. So
I felt like as a unit, they felt more cohesive on the defensive end. Like you saw more plays on a string, like we've been used to seeing over the last couple of years. Right. Like it looked really reminiscent of years past Knicks teams on defense.
Yeah. By the way, the schedule coming up: Hornets Thursday. This is home for the Pistons Saturday, at the Raptors Monday, and then Wednesday
we get the
home for the Hawks for the quarterfinals. So, that like they should win all 4 of those games. Really? I mean, I guess how did the Hawks even make it? I know they won their group, but like who's in that group that
they beat the Cavs, I think.
Right.
They beat the Cavs. And I forgot who else they beat. Whoever else is in their group.
I mean, they had to obviously win at least 3 games that won their group, but let's see.
And in the meantime, I mean, tonight, when you look at this, just the starters alone, the box score is like pretty impressive across the board from the Knicks. This is what you kind of expect from this team when they're really clicking all cylinders. You got Josh Hart with the triple-double, which I know cashed a lot of people out some money tonight. Shout out to people that bet on Josh Hart triple-double. Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, it says he has 0 assists, but he had like some really great passes tonight. I guess they didn't give him the assist on the Mikal Bridges buzzer beater.
Yeah, why? I mean, like that. I know he kind of tapped it towards him, but that was intentional. He didn't drop the ball. I thought that was an assist. I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, and what a play that was. I mean, what a play by Cat tonight on. Cat had a lot of great plays tonight. I want to shout out Cat. He had the bump from Mo Wagner, and he gave us like an all-time like
that was the best thing I've ever seen.
He just like looked at it. He just looked like, oh, all right. I guess I'll just do a turnaround fadeaway, I guess. And then he had the Harlem Globetrotters-esque pass, which Mikal Bridges messed up the highlight of.
Yeah. God damn it. How do you miss that 3, dude? Like, just first of all, nobody was near him. So take another beat if you feel like you don't have the look. You can't miss that. That was such a bummer.
Can't ruin the highlight right there. Yeah. And then you have the intentional tap to Mikal for the buzzer beater, which should have been an assist, which he didn't get. Yeah. But yeah, he was just great altogether tonight. He was great defensively, I thought. He blocked a bunch of shots at the rim. The Magic weren't really able to do whatever with him at the rim. And yeah, I mean, he put up 23 and 15.
Yeah, and it felt very easy for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the 8 for 18 from the field, it actually surprised me that he missed 10 shots. I feel like he didn't miss anything tonight. But I mean, I guess he took 5 threes, which he did take a while to make a 3. So that's a few of those. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like we saw this against Jokic too, when was that, last week, a week and a half ago, whatever. It makes me pretty comfortable with him at the 5 in the playoffs, at least like early returns, because he's stepping up when he needs to step up against these big teams or good teams. Well, also big teams, but good teams. So if he could just kind of like, you don't even have to like play to a draw defensively for him. You just have to like not get embarrassed. then with the way their offense is, that should be okay in the playoffs, especially if you have Precious and Mitch out there with him occasionally. Like, it's not the Tibbs center that he wants, but like the offense is so open with him out there at the 5. I don't know how you can play him at the 4 with Mitch back. I just don't think you can.
No, you can't. You got to do it in like very small spurts.
Yeah.
Like it can't be something that you start the game with or whatever. Like the game is just so much more open, like you said. Offensively, everyone's just in their right spots, and you're seeing it more and more as the team is gelling. OG Anunoby snapped out of his little mini slump right there, 18 points tonight, 4 of 7 from 3. That's very encouraging to see because, he started off the year so consistent, and then he had this little drop off. So it's good to see him just get back to where he was.
Yeah.
Macau, 19 points. Seems like he plays much better at home. Maybe a little bit of that Tyrese Halliburton sleep number theory.
Yeah.
Right there.
Also, team high plus 33 for Macau. So, he did play again. Actually, Hart played more minutes. I do actually, while we're on Bridges, though, real quick, Tibbs has got to stop playing him 15 straight minutes to start every game. Like, I don't understand his logic there. You want him to run with the bench, fine, but then take him out like 4 minutes in.
Yeah.
He's got to rest somewhere. Like, that's why he hasn't the past 2 games, but like leading up to his past 2 performances, he's sucked in the second quarter. And the reason is because he's tired. Like, you can't, even somebody who never gets injured, you can't run him out there for 15 straight minutes to start the game.
And even on the defensive side, I think that affects him as well.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You're not going to put up the same level of effort if you're exhausted from just running all the time.
As the point of attack defender, like, you're on the ball on most possessions for 15 straight minutes to start every half. Like, that's not really
ideal.
Tenable. I guess I'm hoping that will change once Precious is back. I think the issue is probably that Tibbs understandably doesn't want to play Sims and Cat together. So hopefully once Precious is back, like possibly next week, he might be more willing to sit Macau sooner so that, because you can just put Hart. You can put Precious in at the 4 and then shift OG and Hart down. But I don't know. It has to change. It's like, you just can't keep doing that all season. It's going to kill him.
I thought we were getting somewhere when he started to play Pacome a little bit more. And like, it seems like he lost his trust in him for whatever reason, even though Pacome like showed that like he was able to at least like, even if he wasn't giving us anything offensively, like the team is already gifted enough outside of him. Like, you can surround Pacome in a lineup where he's good enough, where they're all good enough offensively that it doesn't matter where he's a 0. But I thought he held up defensively enough to like earn Tibbs' trust to play like 10 minutes or something, just to dispel somebody else's minutes for a little bit. But I guess not.
I think it's got to be practice, right? Like, Tibbs must be not liking what he's seeing from his practice. That's the only explanation, because like that's always what he bases those decisions on, and we're not seeing it, obviously. So I don't know. I'm kind of at the point where I just don't question any decision he makes with respect to playing guys. I do think his rotations are so weird, but
very much so.
But like, he's not playing Hekporti, he's not playing Dadier. Well, they probably don't deserve it. I kind of trust his judgment at this point.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes as the year goes along. I mean, there's still time for adjustments to be made and whatnot.
Yeah.
And whenever guys get injured, he's gonna have no choice but to pull one of those guys.
And he does it. It's not like, the good news is when Payne was out and then when McBride was out, like, he played Kolek and he played Hekporti when Sims was out. Like, he'll do it. He just doesn't. Understandably, he doesn't want to do it if he doesn't have to. Which, fine. At least he's not doing what he did last year and playing 4 guys when everyone's injured.
Yeah. And speaking of our bench, who a lot of them have been out, but now they are all fully healthy. McBride, 18 points tonight, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. I mean, the development that we have seen from Deuce McBride over these years, I mean, culminating to this moment now where he's just like this spark plug, this consistent run starter off the bench on both sides of the ball, is just pretty remarkable to see. I mean, he's really filled up that quickly spot, like just like that. Like, I know a lot of us as fans were like, oh man, we lost quickly. Like, we don't have this spark off the bench. We don't have this fun young guy anymore. And like, Deuce kind of just slotted right into that spot and playing it probably even a little bit better at some points too.
I didn't want to say it. I was thinking it. That's kind of why I was smirking. But like, he's doing it better than Quickly. Quickly's obviously a better player, but Deuce is playing that role better. Quickly was kind of miscast in that role. He, probably needs to be starting on a not very good team. I mean, I'll hope eventually, for his sake, I hope the Raptors are good. But like, he needed to be starting not on the Knicks.
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't it's the right role for Deuce. But what would you, because there was some talk, again, understandably tonight, about his contract. What do you think he would get if they were trying to sign that extension today instead of like 10 months?
Like, what is comparable talent to him? Because like you look at someone like Peyton Pritchard, who's like putting up these crazy numbers off the bench now for the Celtics, and he's on a relatively cheap contract too. I mean, when you look at Peyton Pritchard's contract, it's like, let me see, what was his last contract? I remember seeing his contract. I was like,
the
computer's right.
Yeah, he's making. He's making less than Deuce.
Yeah, so it's like some of these guys.
Hold on. They Google was telling me the wrong thing. 4 for 30. So like Deuce is worth 4 for 30.
Yeah. I'd say. Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind paying him that.
I mean, luckily we don't have to. So he's stuck on this deal. Poor guy. But
he'll make his money's worth in whatever endorsements he can get in New York, because those are galore here.
Yeah, well, and they're gonna have to make it up to him in 2 years when this contract's up. They're gonna owe him big time, because they kind of leveraged him into knowing that he'd probably do this if he actually got minutes once Quickly was gone. They leveraged him into taking the money rather than risking it. So they're gonna owe him a favor. Anyway, but Payne too. I know you were about to talk about Payne, and then we got sidetracked on Deuce. He's been so good. Like, honestly, I hated him for the first 4 or 5 games of the season, but then he came back from injury and he's been unbelievable ever since. Not missing. Yeah, I mean, he was only 1 for 2 from 3 today, but he's just the energy he brings is so. I mean, it just feels so energy, whatever. But he does. I mean, he's out there hyping up the team constantly. They move a lot quicker when he's out there on the floor. He and Deuce are a much better pairing than I think people expected them to be. Especially when Cat's out there, because you give Payne and McBride that much space, they're not gonna they're gonna punish any defender on them if nobody can close out on them like that. So, I mean, can't complain about either of those guys. And then Sims didn't really play today, so whatever. I don't really have anything to say about him, but
he's been pretty solid. I mean, all year. I mean, I think there was a tweet, I forgot who it was from, about his defensive rim field goal percentage and stuff like that. So he's been pretty damn good this year.
That's right up there. Yeah, it's been. Tibbs is the big man genius. I don't know what else to say. He's probably Cat's probably going to somehow become a good drop defender in a year.
Yeah, I mean, going back to campaign, I mean, back in 2021 free agency, me and Schwinn collabed on a piece about campaign and possibly getting him out off of the Phoenix Suns, and that was fresh off of his resurgence into the NBA on the Suns, and here he is, 3 years later doing what we imagined he could do for this Knicks team, in a much smaller role, but still providing some sort of a spark. And I feel defensively, even though he gambles a ton, he's still underrated defensively. Even today, he had this nice play on Anthony Black that forced the turnover and then forced a loose ball foul on him. So he's just able to make plays like that, and then he also gets us out in transition constantly. And he's a pull-up threat, which I love about him the most.
That shooting for him though is so weird.
It's bizarre.
Every time I'm why is he facing the bench when he shoots the ball?
It's bizarre.
It goes in, but it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't Meanwhile, you've got Mikel's trebuchet going off, and Payne's looks even worse, and he makes them. So
yeah,
I don't know. Whatever, it works for him.
It works. Whatever gets the points on the board. Yeah. All right, let's get to some comments, and then we can talk about going forward with this Knicks team in the NBA Cup. Shout out to Brian Benjamin with the $2 super chat. of course, we appreciate all the super chats and all the support from everybody. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe as well. Ace Bouchard, he says, I think it's fair to say I was right about the campaign signing. I think campaign signing really split a lot of the fan base just because
he was a Sixer.
He was a Sixer, and he was also a player that was like sort of inconsistent. Like he had those first couple of 2 years back in the NBA with the Suns, and then once he got on like the Bucks, and then the Bucks didn't want him, they traded him to the Sixers halfway through the year and stuff like that. Like he wasn't as consistent, and like Nick Nurse is also weird about playing guys certain minutes and stuff like that. So, but I mean, he has a steady role here on this Knicks team, and he's very confident right now, and I feel like that's when he's at his best. And he just brings the right energy to this team. So I think a lot of fans were just like much maligned from the Sixer series, especially him just going off on us.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain at all. The thing is, like, this is what you have to do when you're capped out, right? You've got to find guys like Campaign and Leon Rose and Brock Aller and everyone else. They know how to find these guys and sign them to the contracts that work under the cap. And I was kind of annoyed when they signed Campaign because my main memory of him was in the Sixers series last year. But he's been awesome, and he's probably got a bigger role with the Knicks than he ever had with the Sixers, and he's playing it really well on a much better team. So no complaints. Congratulations on being right, Ace, I guess is all I have to say.
Yeah. Chris Bernard says it's been a whole year and they still can't hit a three. Someone get them out of Epcot drinking and get them onto a practice court immediately. Well, I mean, I think this might have been during the game. And they did hit some threes at the end in the garbage time.
Yeah,
so
they still finished 9 for 39.
Yeah.
So not great. But they're just not a good shooting team. Kind of is what it is. I'm not complaining about it because it makes it easier for the Knicks to win. So
yeah, a lot of rebounds. Jordan Bubb points out Karl Anthony Towns tonight, 23 points, 15 rebounds, 2 blocks, 8 of 18 from the field, undefeated in the NBA Cup. Yeah, we got the number 1 seed in the NBA Cup, right? If I'm not mistaken.
2.
We got the 2 seed.
Yeah, because they didn't win by enough. They had to win by 35. So there were the 3 scenarios, right? If they won by 34 or less, they got the 2 seed, which is what happened, obviously. If they won by 35 or 36, they got the 1 seed, and the Magic were still in. And then if they won by 37 or more, they got the 1 seed, and the Celtics were in. So there was that 2-point scenario where they would get the 1 seed and the Magic were in. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it worked out this way because I don't want to see the Magic again in a week. That's No. Even at home again, you don't want to see the same team again that quickly. No. So, especially a good team that you just embarrassed, they would have come out pretty angry. So this was the best case scenario. The Hawks are not good. I'm really not worried about them at all. So the Knicks are probably going to Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks have this weird thing where they're not good, but they've been able to keep up with good teams.
Yeah, I mean, they did beat the Celtics and the Cavs. And
they beat the Cavs twice.
The Knicks have not done, actually, beat neither of those teams.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that kind of worries me just a little bit because the Hawks, they kind of play up to their competition in a way. And the Knicks are, I would consider, up against.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they have not just the best offense in the NBA this year by offensive rating. By adjusted offensive rating, they have the best offense in 15 years.
Wow.
Something like that. I might be quoting it wrong. I don't feel like looking it up. Just cut me a break if I'm not exactly right, listeners. But it's something to that effect that they have because it was something like the Cavs, Celtics, and Knicks all have top 5 adjusted offensive ratings in the last however many years. And so if the Knicks are number 1, I think they're number 1 in that period.
Wow.
So I just don't know. The Hawks did beat the Celtics and the Cavs, but the Knicks are on a roll right now. That Pistons game was weird, but if you throw that out, they never played the Mavs well. Like they're cursed against the Mavs. I can't really. I know I'm throwing out all their losses recently, but if you throw out all their losses recently, they've won every game.
The way this Knicks team has been, they've been like so inconsistent. They have like these great stretches, and then they have these stretches where they look like they don't even belong on the basketball court with another team. But yeah, I mean, the Hawks, they're an interesting team. They play up to their competition. They've beaten these great teams in the East that we have yet to beat. So that's going to be a very interesting game. I mean, I expect us to win, especially on our home court. Yeah. But weirder things have happened, especially with the Knicks.
Very true.
All right, here from Ian Begley from Jordan Bub. Shout out to Jordan Bub. Always bringing us some great tweets from the timeline to interact with us. Josh Hart, 11 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, had his 8th triple-double as a Knick. He's tied with Julius Randle for 4th on the franchise's all-time list. He just moved ahead of Mark Jackson on the list tonight. And yeah, let's see. I mean, I would guess that he passes Julius Randle.
I've never heard of Julius Randle. Who is that?
That is the guy that brought us Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, him.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I don't care about him. No, I mean, he definitely will. Because if he's tied with Julius, you think Hart's going to never, like, he's obviously going to get another triple-double sometime soon.
Yes.
You know? So probably he won't have as many as he did last year because he was, like, the second option for a while there when everyone was injured. But I'm sure I'll get another one and pass Julius.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan Bob also points out that each Knick has won $51K.
Well, congrats to Deuce. He needs it.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to the rookies, especially Pico.
No, they actually need it. Yeah.
Who took a pay cut. Yeah. One of the rare things that happens in the NBA where a rookie takes a pay cut. And the two-way guys like McCullough and Jacob Toppin. Well, I'm sure Jacob Toppin's pretty fine. His brother's making loads of money on the Pacers. So
yeah, I'm sure Obi is just kind of handing him money like it's a. You think Jacob's like it's like he's dating Obi and he's just like, hey, I just ran out of my moisturizer. Can you find me more moisturizer?
That's hilarious. Let's see what else we got here. Chris Bernhard said Ace Bouchard says that I think he added Chris Bernhard in here. He says he doesn't get why people compare, I guess, the Magic's roster to Boston. The whole point of the Celtics is that they can all shoot, as opposed to the Magic, who don't have like 3 solid shooters on the whole roster.
Yeah, that is a weird comparison. Those are very dissimilar rosters.
I mean, I guess I would say they'll compare it maybe from the sense of like a switch everything type of like thing where like most of the players on the Celtics and the Magic can switch to a degree, and like I guess the defensive identities of the team. Offensively, they're not anyway similar.
Yeah. But did the Magic do that tonight? They weren't switching a ton. Yeah.
Nope. That's why they
should have, because the Knicks can never score against switching defenses. So.
That's why I was so confused that's why I was concerned coming into this game, because I was like, all right, the Magic, they're a very good defensively disciplined team, and I feel like Jamal Mosley would have had them at least prepared to at least mimic what other teams, especially shorthanded teams, have been trying. Like the Pelicans even tried to do it against us shorthanded, and they found out like, hey, if you're not connected and like you're trying to get all these guys who have barely played with each other to connect on a string defensively, switching, it's not going to work. The Charlotte Hornets are able to do it successfully with a shorthanded roster.
Right.
So I thought that the Magic, with at least most of their players, would try to do it, and they didn't. So
I don't know. Disaster class from Jamal Mosley. What can you say?
Yeah, and we'll see what Atlanta does. I mean, Atlanta sort of has the personnel to do it now, especially now that DeAndre Hunter's back.
Right.
He's supposed to be like a hypothetical defensive.
Yeah,
wing.
Hypothetical is right. Yeah, I mean,
so
do it. He's been in the league for years at this point.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Hawks do. They do have the wings and the length between Okongwu, Hunter, Ricochet, Jalen Johnson. They have the hypothetical people to actually like make things tough for the Knicks defensively, switching wise, but we'll see if they actually are able to do it. So
yeah. Plus, Trey is such a good defender. Like you can't.
Yeah,
he's gonna shut down Jalen. So we're fucked. basically. He's
basically.
the Garden is like his home,
Yeah, he's been winning here so much.
Yeah, remember that
lately.
time he won like 2 games here 3 years ago? That's don't against the team there's literally nobody left from except for a guy who's injured.
Yep.
But his home.
Connor here says that Deuce McBride getting paid in high fives and crowd chants over the next 4 years is the biggest finesse in the league since Leon came to New York. Hey, I mean, he gets to hear his name chanted in the Garden every time he takes a jump shot. I mean,
yeah, he has a special. They don't do that for anyone else.
We don't scream Jalen out when he shoots threes. Like,
look, did you see the apartment he bought in Hudson Yards? I think he's like probably doing okay. He's still making.
No, I didn't see it, but I will probably see it after. But
look, yeah, I'll send you the link if I can find it. But he bought this like insane apartment in Hudson Yards. If
he bought it in Hudson Yards, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know why anyone would want to live in Hudson Yards. I live in Chelsea, and I'm like, so Hudson Yards is right there, and I'm just like, why would it's stores? Why would anyone want to live here? I don't know. Deuce could have done better.
It's like tourists everywhere.
Yeah, Deuce could have definitely done better than that, but maybe that is because he was only making $3.5 million and not 7.5 like Peyton Pritchard. So sorry, Deuce.
Sorry, I hope the crowd chants are
it's worth it.
Josh Hart also is the first Knick in over 40 years to have multiple triple doubles on 60% field goal shooting.
Kind of makes sense. Like how many, most triple doubles are coming from guards, right? And like you're not going to have high shooting percentages, for guards too often. So, and Josh Hart is like, I don't know what he is, honestly.
He is a Josh Hart.
He's Josh Hart. Yeah, that's the position he plays.
He is a Josh Hart. What else here we got? Jordan Bell also points out that the Hawks had beat the Celtics and the Wizards in the NBA Cup, and that's how they got where they are right now.
The Wizards are really tough. That must have been a tough matchup for them. I'm sure they were sweating that one.
I mean, I forgot which team was sweating out a matchup against it was the Bucks. Of course, it was the Bucks. The Bucks were like in a dogfight with the Wizards. Jordan Poole had like 31 points or something.
I know the Knicks were literally just beat the Hornets by 1 point, but it's still hilarious to almost lose to the Wizards.
Yeah, no, I mean the Wizards had no win November. They didn't win a single game. So
they were just practicing. Like they were just practicing no win November. You don't understand. It was on purpose.
Case Bouchard points out that Cat is a way better rebounder than he realized, and he didn't even think that he was a bad rebounder. I think it's like recency bias, of course, because we're so used to seeing him next to Rudy Gobert, and like his job next to Rudy Gobert was spacing the floor, so like he wasn't really tasked with being the rebounder that we kind of need him to be, especially with the Knicks rebounding identity over the last couple of years. Like rebounding has been such a strong part of this team's identity, even as the team has shifted identities. But yeah, I mean, Cat's always been. I mean, even if you look back at his like Kentucky numbers, I think he was like a monster rebounder in Kentucky as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of recency bias. We've become so used to him playing next to Gobert. So
I also think there's probably like a little bit of when you know a big guy's not a good defender, you also kind of assume he's not a good rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
But Cat's issue is just that he's not a good defender. He's not. Although again, like he was fine.
He has his moments.
Yeah, he's okay. He's better than I thought he was going to be, honestly. Still not great, but he's passable. Like we talked about at the beginning, he's definitely passable out there.
Yeah. Let's see what else here we got. We have here that JK mentions that this is a better shooter than Quick when we were talking about the differences between him and Quickly. Ace Bouchard says that Quickly is the flashier player. Yeah, I definitely say that.
Yeah,
I'd say Deuce is the better defender as well in terms of like point of attack.
Yeah,
I think Quickly was better off ball.
Quickly was better off ball. Also, something that I think a lot of people did not want to admit is that Quickly did have limitations defensively, which I think was like part of Tibbs' problem with him. And part of it was that he couldn't really guard on ball. And then it's like, okay, well, Brunson doesn't either. But yeah, Brunson doesn't either. So Quickly kind of needs to if he's gonna play with him, and Deuce can do it.
Yeah.
So I love Quick, but Deuce is, like I said, fitting that role better.
Definitely. BXBoy71 says we ran Elfrid Payton out of the league again. Elfrid Payton had a 21 assist game and still couldn't stick it on an NBA roster.
Yeah, poor guy. That's tough to get waived 2 games after your 21 assist game.
That is the business of the NBA. It must mean that the Pelicans are getting some players back from injury.
Probably.
Because they've been banged up like really badly to start the year. I mean, we saw it ourselves firsthand just the other night. But yeah, I mean, Elfrid Payton, he had a 21 assist game and he's going right back to the G League.
Yeah, or China.
Yeah. Omar Yusuf says play the song Orlando Magic, Orlando Magic. Whoa. That song is catchy. I'll give him that.
It is.
Their song is catchy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's no go New York, New York, go, but you know.
Yeah. Jordan Bubb says that Mikal Bridges is a plus 73 in the last 2 games. That is the highest by a Knick in a 2-game span since play-by-play era, 1996-97. Only other Knick to hit plus 70 was his Villanova alum, Josh Hart, last season.
He's had 2 solid games. Hopefully he keeps it up. I mean, you know, I would really prefer that he show us up and start playing well because he's been the weak link so far. There's really not much to say, you know?
Yeah. Jordan Bubb is also pointing out here in the comments that Josh Hart said that he is going to get a new watch with this NBA Cup money. Yeah. So
didn't he say that last year too? How many new watches does he need?
He's starting a collection, I guess.
He should get Deuce a nicer apartment.
Yeah, guys, chip in for Deuce's his housewarming party.
Let's get Deuce an apartment. Like, I don't know, where do we want to put him instead of Hudson Yards? The thing is, like, you know, I would say he should live in Chelsea, which is again right there and much better than Hudson Yards. But I don't know, put him in like Deuce's 25. Put him in Murray Hill with all the 25-year-olds.
Oh man. Brent, hello Brent. He says we living in the best timeline for Cat right now. Another universe, we're probably clowning this dude and running him out of town. He really been a light voice professional. Yeah, I mean, Cat. I mean, a lot of fans didn't want Cat here. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of us didn't want him here. We were kind of used to what we had, and like a lot of us are also like of the mindset, I think, of like better the devil that you know than the devil that you don't know. A lot of us were very familiar with what Julius brought us. And we're like, all right, you know, we know what we have with Julius. With Cat, we kind of hear things, we see things, we haven't experienced them firsthand. So, you know, a lot of us were skeptical, and myself included. Look through my tweets of Cat over like the last like 3 years alone. It's like a roller coaster of emotions. Like there's tweets praising him and there's tweets calling him like the worst player ever. So it's like, but like as you see, as he's here in New York, it's like you see like his full talent, his full skill level, and like what he's able to do, and like he's being maximized, I think, to not to his ultimate potential. I feel like there's still some things to like
pretty close though. I mean,
it's pretty close, but I feel like there are some slight things the Knicks can do to, you know, make things just slightly a little bit easier in certain instances. But for the most part, we're getting like the best version of Cat that we've seen in the NBA so far.
I mean, the thing is, I think that because I was also pretty skeptical, and not even because like it's we know Julius and we know his faults and whatever, but also like giving up Dante was like, you know, a big concern. That has obviously not borne out, even putting aside that he's been terrible with the Wolves. We haven't really openly missed him. It felt like we were going to right at the beginning of the season, but like we haven't missed him because Payne and McBride have been providing that spark off the bench. But also, Cat had never played with a point guard like Brunson, which I don't think we really thought enough about at the time. Like, I know Mike Conley is good, or was, not anymore, but was good, but it's not the same. Like, Mike Conley's not Jalen Brunson. So that makes a big difference. And I think it's just like you couldn't know until you saw it, you know? Like, we just couldn't know. And he's been literally, like, who could anyone honestly have expected this? Like, him to have his best season ever by far, and when he was already, like, an all-star level player? I don't think anyone was predicting this. So, you know, yeah, it's been amazing. another Leon Rose masterclass. What can I say? This guy never makes mistakes. Don't mention Mikal Bridges to me.
Well, I mean, Mikal's been, better as of late.
He's been better. He's been better.
He's been better. Still not exactly where we want him to be. I would say on both sides of the ball, there's still,
he was never going to be worth 5 first-round picks, right? That was like kind of.
I think a lot of Knicks fans, we kind of like talked ourselves into the idea of like, all right, if we can like at least get like the version of him that was in Phoenix defensively and like 75% of what we saw of him in Brooklyn, especially that first like when he initially got to Brooklyn, he was putting up like 27 points per game or whatever it was. Like, if we get 75% of that offense with like 95% of the Phoenix defense, we were like, all right, maybe this will be like significantly worth it. But I mean, even then, he's still not performing to what we like envision him to be, and like the Knicks offense is still like out of this world. Defensively, you're still hoping that there's some strides that he can make, be more physical on ball at the point of the attack.
Yeah.
But I mean,
The thing is, what it comes down to is like people are, and their defensive rating has probably got to be in the top 20 at this point, just because this is multiple really good performances in a row, and they were at 22. But regardless, everyone's complaining about the defensive rating. It's not ideal. The defense has been very up and down, and Mikal's been a big problem with respect to that. But it only matters in the playoffs, ultimately. Like, they just have to make it, right? I don't give a shit. I'd prefer they not be in the Celtics bracket, so you want them to be the 2 or the 3. But other than that, I don't give a shit. Like, just make the playoffs, and then if you want to dial up the intensity, then Mikal, I'm not gonna like be sure you're gonna do that until I see it in play. But like, if that's when it's gonna happen, if you're saving yourself to like, shut down, I don't know, to shut down the Magic, I guess probably in round 1 or round 2 rather in May, then okay, I'll take it all back. But until then, he's got to keep playing like he's played the last 2 games, especially defensively.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Aaron Bender, he says Mikal finally having a presence on defense and intercepting multiple passes to a would-be open corner 3-point shooter makes the defense look like it could get better. Definitely. And you're seeing that. I mean, the Knicks defense over the last couple of games, I mean, granted the Magic hit like a bunch of shots in garbage time, but for the most part, they were absolutely like crushing them. Like they couldn't get anything. And even like the Pelicans, granted they were shorthanded, but it's still like, they're taking care of business, and like, it's totally different than like when we faced Phoenix, who was another shorthanded team, and Phoenix was able to still get a lot of whatever they wanted offensively on that side of the ball. So, you're definitely seeing some steps being taken defensively, and you're hoping that this can continue. I mean, we play against the Charlotte Hornets again on Thursday, but I think they'll be significantly healthier this time around. They did get Nick Richards and Mark Williams both back recently. And who, I don't know what's the status with LaMelo or Miles Bridges, so we'll see what happens with those two.
Well, I anticipate that
we hope a lot of things happen to Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think LaMelo should still be out, but who knows? Guys magically heal up when
it's really like, look, I'm not paying enough attention to when this happens to other teams, so I'm sure it does.
It happens to the Lakers quite a bit, but like for the Knicks, I feel like it happens the most.
But like the thing is, if it happens to Lakers, that almost proves our point, right? Because they're like, oh, I'm coming to MSG, or I'm going to
Staples.
Well, it's not Staples anymore.
What's Crypto.
Crypto.com center, which is so stupid. Like, I got to go play there, and like suddenly they're healthy. But you don't see anyone doing that for the Celtics. I'll tell you that. Nobody cares about the TD Garden. That's the wrong Garden.
No, wrong Garden. Even though they like to call it the Garden so many times.
So much. Don't even get me started. That like nothing pisses me off more than the Celtics fans being like, we have the real Garden. No, you don't.
Have the Ku Klux Garden. That's what it is. But yeah, I mean, all right. So the Knicks, they are playing the Hawks in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. And then after that, they play in the semifinals versus, the winner of Magic Bucks. I mean, looking at the odds on here, I think last time I checked the Knicks odds, they were like the favorites in this
I mean, they
thing.
should be, right? With the Celtics out, the Hawks, they're better than the Hawks again. Like you said, anything can happen. They're better than the Hawks. It's at home. If they face the Magic, that'll be at home too. Of course, we've seen they can beat the Magic. Again, it's tough to beat a team twice in relatively short order, but they obviously can do it. And the Bucks, I mean, they're playing better lately, but they don't scare me.
Yeah, no,
Even
I mean
if
they cannot I still don't trust their defense, Milwaukee. I feel like they are still a team that like you can get whatever you want if you're a competent offense.
right.
And the Knicks are more than a competent offense. It's just a matter of like which version of the Knicks is going to show up. And you're hoping that, these last couple games are showing a trend of like, all right, we're heading towards like this, like, pseudo January Knicks type of run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find where is the NBA Cup. The odds.
Oh, I don't know. I was just curious. I'm looking now at who's going to make it out of the West. This isn't finalized, but it's likely to be Rockets, Thunder, Warriors, Mavericks looking like.
Okay.
So just, thinking way ahead, if we have the Knicks going all the way to the finals,
Mm-hmm.
one of those four teams. The Rockets are tough, obviously. The Thunder, I want to beat Hartenstein's ass. Warriors, I'm not scared of them. And then the Mavs, they never beat the Mavs, so they're probably going to get destroyed in that game. Hopefully it's not the Mavs. That's really the only. Although, honestly, like we were talking about this a little bit during game chat. Do we even want the Knicks to go to the finals and have to play that 83rd game?
I mean,
it would be cool, but
do we think this is going to be the last time the Knicks play for something as high stakes as this?
Well, I guess that's the question. If we don't think they're going anywhere in the playoffs, then obviously, you want to see it because it'd be fun for the tournament. But I mean,
you also I also just want to kind of see like how serious the Knicks as an organization take it if the Knicks win. Like if they win this thing, like how serious do they take
about the NBA Cup? So.
Exactly, they don't. And like Zach, shout out to Zach.
Yeah.
Check out his article on our site. Little shameless plug there for Zach.
Yep.
But he stated how like, and like I also think about this as well. Like, how serious would the Knicks take it if the Knicks do get to the final of this thing? Because it seems like Emirates is a direct competitor to
because of
their Abu Dhabi sponsor,
right,
in like some indirect or like some other interweb ways or whatever.
I don't know. We don't need to get into Middle East politics on.
Yeah. But it's very interesting to see, like, all right, like if the Knicks like do win this, like, what do they do? Like, will they really hang up a banner like the Lakers did? Like, will they?
Would love to see. So here's my guess. Honestly, they're gonna quarterfinals, semifinals. They're just gonna continue pretending that like the NBA
doesn't exist.
Yeah, even if they go to Vegas, they're just gonna like it's just another game, because they'd be playing that game anyway.
And like for me, it's like, will they like do any like social media in Vegas or anything? Because like other teams did that last year.
Did they like? Oh, because the Knicks didn't make it to Vegas last year. That's right.
They didn't.
Yeah, they lost right before. I forgot. So I don't know. I really want to see it though. Okay, I want them to make the semifinals. So like we have to put them in a situation where they kind of have to acknowledge it.
Yes, because like there's no way you're sending a whole ass team to
it's just like
and you're just ignoring it completely.
All right, so normally I don't want to ask our listeners and readers whatever to brigade anything, but in this one case, if the Knicks make it to Vegas, everyone needs to tweet at Knicks over and over again. Why are you in Vegas? Like just just keep asking them. Like why are the Knicks playing in Vegas tonight? They're playing. They're playing the Bucks and it's in Vegas. That's so weird. Shouldn't it be in Milwaukee?
The Knicks social would be like, what the hell is wrong with
What's happening?
But no, I really want to see like how serious they take it because like, the Lakers were the first team to win it. And I mean, they obviously made like some sort of like a big deal out of it. They hung a banner for it and stuff like that. So
it's a little embarrassing, honestly. But...
yes, but I mean,
the Lakers have 17 championships. They don't need the
They don't
NBA
need a.
Cup banner. It's
They
like,
don't need an NBA Cup.
you know what it's like, honestly? One thing I like find embarrassing that the Mets do is like they hang a wild card banner every time they make the wild card game, and it's like, guys, are you fucking kidding me? You made the wild card game and you're hanging a banner? That's weird shit. That's like the Lakers hanging the NBA Cup banner. So I don't think the Knicks should hang an NBA Cup banner unless they're required to put Emirates on it in like giant print.
Oh my god!
And you just have like behind the Abu Dhabi sponsorship, like NBA Emirates Cup 2024 winners, New York Knicks. Like then I want it, but otherwise, no. I think it's loser shit. You can like celebrate the win, but I don't want a banner ceremony for the NBA Cup.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, I haven't seen the Knicks do anything like super substantial in my lifetime.
True.
So I mean, I wouldn't mind a banner for it. I know the Knicks would obviously get totally clowned about it. Be like, oh, this is the first banner.
Yeah, nobody clowned the Lakers, but of course they would clown the Knicks about it.
Yeah,
exactly what would happen. Yeah.
But yeah. Omar Yusuf here in the chat. I think he's pointing out that LaMelo and Man are both out, and Miles is probably out too. He says, "What are we talking about? Knicks have been facing everybody with injured players last 2 weeks. I mean, who isn't injured in the NBA these days?"
Wait, what's Omar's point even?
I don't know.
Omar, can you explain to us what you mean? We're saying that like you got to beat the teams in front of you. What do you want from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think our thing is what we were saying is I don't even remember what we were saying.
The problem is he needs to tell me what he's referring to because
yeah. Omar,
comment,
please specify.
Follow up for us. Okay, you have to super chat though, at least $20, and then I mean, I'm trying
he says everybody has magically returns to the Knicks.
Okay, all right, you got us.
fair. I mean, there are certain instances where it's like this guy has been out for like
that's even happened
ages.
Embiid came back against the Knicks.
Yeah, exactly. Embiid came back right
like a loser for the entire game, so it was fine. But okay, I just have to say, leave it to Omar to be the most pedantic and point out that we actually
no one else pointed that out of like the several viewers that we have on here. He didn't even point it out. No one else pointed that out.
I love you, Omar, but fuck you.
Jennifer Dixon says that Abu Dhabi is one of the Emirates, so instead we should get pushed through the competition for that.
Yeah, wait, what's the she's right. Why? I don't understand what the deal is here.
Zach had pointed out like some of the like geopolitics with the Abu Dhabi sponsor.
Wait,
and
we got Zach writing an article about Middle East geopolitics on the Strickland.
In a way.
I did not read it. I'm sorry, Zach, but I'm sure.
Well, Zach, in the article, Zach specified like what Abu Dhabi are, like the Knicks jersey.
Yeah. Well, it's Abu Dhabi's tourism, whatever.
And I think they're like a competitor to something that's related with the Emirates in a way. I don't remember everything specifically. Sorry, Zach, I don't remember specifically. I work with 4-year-olds all the time. My brain is like half spilling out of my ears these days. But I remember there was like something about like there's some competition between, you know, Abu Dhabi and or at least some another company that's connected to Abu Dhabi and the Emirates. And
okay, it's actually their deal with Delta. All right, so hold on.
It's the next deal with Delta. Thank you. There we go. Here we go.
Here's a clip from an excerpt.
Excerpt.
Thank you. Here's an excerpt from Zach's article. The first and most likely issue is a sponsorship conflict. The Knicks have a massive and long-standing deal with Delta, a direct competitor of Emirates Airways, the Cup's biggest sponsor. I doubt Delta would be thrilled. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I doubt Delta would be thrilled with them inadvertently parading a rival across their digital media. Knicks also have a new deal with Experience Abu Dhabi. Their tourism program has a strong relationship with Etihad Airways, another competitor of Emirates. Zach went like deep to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually.
Oh, he got that from Omar. He says Omar says he got it from him.
All right, Omar. Get out of here. So that explains it, because I was also confused. Like Abu Dhabi is literally part of the UAE, so it wouldn't really make much sense. But that's why we have Omar, so that he can.
Yes. I confused the Abu Dhabi part and the Delta part.
You're good.
Yes.
It's totally okay. I forget.
There was a lot of geopolitics.
Yeah,
and
Zach was like,
and
if you clicked like a period, there was a secret link to all of his thoughts on Gaza. So I'm just kidding. Don't. That did not happen.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, I think that because of the Delta thing and the Emirates thing, I'm very curious to see how serious the Knicks take it.
I really want them to just like continue. I honestly, I really want them, because the thing is, like I said, they get to the semifinals, they could still get away with it because it's technically a normal game because everyone's playing. But they get to the championship. That's a game that only they and the team they're playing against are playing. So what are they like? Are they just going to be like game 83? Who knows why we're doing this? I can't say.
Oh, we're just playing this random game in Vegas, this extra game that doesn't count towards anything else.
They're probably like 10 guys in the Knicks marketing department right now, like shooting their pants because the Knicks won this game.
They're probably like sweating like even more every single time.
20 else to Delta and experience Abu Dhabi being like, well, we're so sorry. We'll promise we're going to break Jalen Brunson's leg.
Oh my god! And also, it wouldn't be on MSG. It would be on TNT.
Yeah, but we're talking about the Knicks tweeting it out, not
MSG. The Knicks socials, the Knicks socials, and how they would handle it.
Pedantic, right back at you, Omar. All right, we're talking about the Knicks tweeting it out. They're not on Blue Sky yet, so just tweeting it out. But
no, we know they don't travel for games. It's just a matter of like how would they just like overall cover the experience,
right? Because they just haven't. They straight up not. Like tonight's tweets were just like a normal
regular NBA game tweets.
Yeah. Meanwhile, let me see comparatively, like what were the Magic tweeting about?
They probably took it a little bit more serious. I think some teams just are a little bit more, especially like other teams just like take social media a little bit more seriously than the Knicks, which is something that Zach constantly gripes about.
So they had the little, in all their tweets today, they had the little Emirates NBA Cup logo on the corner. And I'm guessing the Knicks did not.
Probably not.
No mention of the Emirates NBA Cup whatsoever in any of their graphics.
Not surprising.
Yeah. So there you go. Just for comparison, the other team in the game
acknowledged
it. Yeah. Or acknowledge it. They didn't mention it, but they acknowledged it in their graphics using the logo. They also tweeted out like a big semifinal or quarterfinal down graphic, which is funny because they got like wrecked tonight. It's kind of like, congratulations, yeah, you're moving on, but it was pretty embarrassing for you.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll end things off here. Great conversation. Thanks to everyone that tuned in and left a comment, even you, Omar, who's being pedantic.
Even you, Omar.
But yes, shout out to everyone that's here. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, check out all links in the description. Check out the links to the site, especially for articles like that from Zach and other people on his staff that have been doing great things. Make sure you guys also check out all the links to the socials. That is the Instagram and the Twitter. There's no link to Blue Sky, but we are also on Blue Sky as well. And yeah, I will catch you guys after the next game versus the Hornets. Hopefully the Knicks also beat the shit out of them in that game.
Let's keep winning by 30. They won tonight by 30. I don't care what the final score was.
Yeah, no. They definitely did.
Let's keep doing it. Let's keep it rolling.
Yep. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will catch you guys on Thursday. Peace.